Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness. I didn't wait. Wow. Okay. I knew I got a bit of a tan, but I didn't think I tanned that much. Okay. Um, anyway. Hey, Connie Balmer. Fancy was here first. All right. Um, Anyway, I'll say hi to everybody as I go along. Um, as we come to the end of our road, the end of the road, the end of the road. There we go. All right. Okay, War of the Windsors. I am loving it. It is just getting messy. Well, without any further ado, let's just get started. Uh-oh, what happened to my chart? There was supposed to be a chart there. And oh, I think I know what happened to it. I didn't well, that is weird. Why is my chart not there? Oh well, no matter. That is so weird. I had a chart and it's not there, but that's okay. I got it. I got it. Ha. I just had to find another way to do it. That's all. As I always do. Perfection. Matter of fact, well, anyway, I'm not going to mess with it any more than that. I'm going to tell you what, I will do this. Move that over there. And do that again. Okay. And I'll get rid of that one. And I'll just bring it back up again. Problem solved. Hey, Legs. Mary H. Compton Cali Gal. There we go. Instant chart. Trending downwards. Okay, it's a generic chart, but it says what everybody else is seeing. Okay, let's continue. So the state or condition of being liked, admired, supported by many people. He was forced to step down as mayor despite his popularity with the voters. So yeah, popularity. That's what that chart is for, popularity. And they don't seem to have a lot of it. You guys, there is a war of the Windsors going on. I promise you it is. But before we get to the war, let's talk about Harry and Meghan and their Netflix. Their Netflix. There are people that are struggling, you guys, and I don't think that it's fair not to consider the pain and the suffering that those people are going through. But yeah, seriously, folks, it is not fair that we don't consider all of the pain and the suffering and the turmoil, that gut wrenching feeling that they have, where they're literally dry heaving from the pain and the anguish of expecting the Sussexes to crumble under the weight of their hatred, only for the Sussexes to just rise and rise. And well, anyway, they labor under this assumption that the Sussexes are finished once and for all. Even Harry spoke about it. He said they're just like, yeah, thinking that this is the end of the road for them. And yet they just keep climbing higher and higher. And it's their own faults. It's their own faults. They, well, anyway, we'll get into that. Let's continue here. So, mighty Netflix, whom I just adore so much that I have kept my account active for, oh my goodness, well over 15 years now, I think. I think it's been at least 15 years. Nonstop contribution to the art that they produce. And I have to say, I am very pleased by it. So I will continue to support them, especially as long as the Sussexes are there. But no Harry and Meghan. That's going to make it tough for me. Now, I shared this with you the other day. This is the sources of which all of us are taking in our movies, our news, all of our media, right? Well, yeah, that which can be measured. So you got YouTube, which you're watching right now, 12.8% of the Nielsen ratings. That is what everyone is watching, 12.8%. Now, of course, this is for the US, right? And then you have the Walt Disney Company, which owns things like ESPN and all kind of stuff. And where are they at? 10% of everything that's being consumed by a nation of some 330, 340 million people. You got Netflix, which is 8.3% of the market. So let's say that YouTube is General Motors. Let's say that the Disney company, they're Ford. And let's say that Netflix is Chrysler, okay? Daimler Chrysler, for all of the vehicles that are sold in the United States. Of course, I'd rather be GM, but considering that most people are paying for their Netflix compared to YouTube, where, you know, there's a few people that have premium service, and I would imagine most people don't. And of course, Walt Disney, which is somewhere in between. Still, that is a great number, 8.3%. Lex says Harry and Meghan are miles above the royal family and the British royal media, yet they cannot see them. Yeah, I mean, they're just sailing high above. And if they just took a look up instead of trying to look down at them, thank you for the super sticker. Yeah, they need to try looking up instead of trying to look down as they do far too often. And oh, let me play that sound bite. You know, I love that. That's like one of my new favorite things. You know, I'm if she keeps this up, because you know my nickname for her was Piranha Face. If she keeps this up, I'm gonna stop calling her Piranha Face. That is so childish, Piranha Face. But yeah, if she keeps this up, I'm gonna stop calling her Piranha Face. But I need for her to be positive more often. I mean, really, she can just be positive all the time because there's enough negativity out there. She doesn't have to contribute to it. So, Miss Piranha, where are you? I think I'm going to have to scroll back a bit for that one. Oh, my. Oh, there we go.
Just thought I've just done a bit on GB News. Hello. Just thought I've just done a bit on GB News, breaking news story about Harry and Meghan's Netflix deal being extended. And I think, you know, it's one in the eye to everyone who was saying the deal's gone, it's busted, they were no good, they were hopeless. You know, Netflix say that they regard Harry and Meghan as influential voices, and you've got to hand it to them, that they really are. Everything they do or say, we people like me report on. So I think good for them, good for Meghan in particular, because most of this is about Meghan and her programs. I think we should all eat a bit of humble pie, really.
You heard her. We should all eat a bit of humble pie, really. Speaking, of course, of the tabloid media.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix say that they are very influential voices, Harry and Meghan, and it's true. Whatever they do, whatever they say, whatever gesture they make, we're all over it, aren't we? I'm sure we'll be all over the fact that this December project of hers, this December show about decking the halls and all about Christmas, and I can foresee it now. We're all going to say that she's rivaling the Princess of Wales, Catherine, who has her carol concert, very important to her every Christmas. But you know, it's a different arena. There's room for two of them. And I think we have to give Meghan some credit. You know, she may not be everyone's cup of tea, but that lifestyle show she does, it's perfectly pleasant. You know, it's not groundbreaking. It is what she says it is, just full of joy and a bit of cookery. And good luck to her. She smashed it.
Do you think there's something in now? This hierarchy has been flipped.
So I think what Jeannie Bond is doing, Jeannie Bond is trying to save the monarchy. She's trying to save the monarchy. There's a few people that can see the writing on the wall. The thing is, they're torn between their loyalty for the monarchy and the common sense that most people have, and they just will not apply that to the Sussexes. It is to their own benefit, because whether or not they accept it to be true, the royal family has taken a hit, and they have taken a tremendous hit because of this war against both the house of the the Kensington Palace and Clarence House, right? That's one thing. Even if the Sussexes had never left, this was inevitable. This was going to happen anyway. Whenever William felt as though it was close to his time, and you know, what's really sad is that William probably thinks that he's going to wake up a better person the day after his father dies, and that all of a sudden his path in life is going to be so clear, and that everything that is wrong with him will be made right. All he has to do is get the throne, take the crown, assume his role as king. And anybody that has lived long enough knows that because you have reached this certain level in life, it doesn't mean that the old deficits, the old problems that you've fought with, the internal, turmoil that's going on, that is not corrected because your pay grade has gone up. That is not corrected because of a promotion. You're the same old a-hole going into the new role as you were with the old one. If you're lacking integrity, it doesn't get better because you are king. Because as close as he is to the job, he still struggles with lack of focus and laziness. And same goes for Kate. Here she is on the precipice of the just on the brink of the biggest moment in her life, becoming the queen consort, and she's blowing it. She is unable to perform her role as the Princess of Wales, something she's been preparing for ever since her mother switched her to St. Andrews. And she's not even close to ready for it. Not even close. They both have a lot of excuses, but they don't have the grit to do the work. It's almost an insult to honest, hardworking people to call it work. But whatever it is, they are struggling, and they're not even there yet. They were struggling when they were a whole nother position, a whole nother, what do you call it, step in the line of succession. They were back another pace, and they still were not ready. So nothing magic is going to happen when they get on that throne. They're going to be the same misfits, lazy individuals that they've always been. This is Drag Willie Part 2, by the way. So, list of Netflix overall output and first look deals with creators. Now, I think it was Zandy Sussex or Sussex Soldier that posted this. I had never seen it before. I didn't know that this was a real article. I had to, double check and make sure that it was a real thing because, sometimes people have good intentions and it's not exactly what you think it is. Not to say that, that was their, that they've ever done that, but you know what I mean. When it seems like something that really speaks to the moment, I just have to verify that it's real, and it is a real article. And it comes from What's on Netflix, right? And it says Netflix is now increasingly reliant on its own ability to create content and help aid that. It employs the talents. It employs the talents of the biggest names in Hollywood and beyond. This is our definitive list of every first look and overall deal Netflix has signed in its history. As Netflix fuels its huge and growing Netflix original library, it has to keep close relations with talent, and that often means signing the best up to lucrative overall or first look deals. There's that word for words, that is first look deals. Overall or first look deals. The premise of these deals is that it keeps talent working exclusively for Netflix. And if you look at the people in the photo there, I mean, you got the Obamas back there, Shonda Rhimes. Is that Beyonce? What is that guy from Reindeer or whatever? Anyway, you got some heavy hitters there that Netflix is hoping to work with in the future. Missing from this photo, of course, are the Sussexes and Tyler Perry and probably a whole bunch of other people. But I believe at the time, Netflix still had the Sussexes under their old contract. This article is from the 11th of March, 2022. So that means the Sussexes were still in the old contract. In November 2020, Netflix appointed N.E. Abong, I guess is Ni Abong, as the vice president of overall deals. It's also worth noting that although this is the definitive list, it's actually probably nowhere close to being every overall deal struck. That's because many overall deals reportedly aren't publicized. So that's interesting to know. They don't publicize everything. Let me see. Made became one of Netflix's biggest limited series in its history, and behind that show was Molly Smith Metzler, who inked a deal with Netflix for multiple years, focusing on titles that are socially conscious, original, featuring empowering roles for women for the streamers. Okay, socially conscious. Okay, I'm just going to skim through here because so far I don't really see anybody. Oh, there's a Spike Lee deal, huh? Okay. All right. They have some kind of deal with Spike Lee. House 1110, deal signed 2021. The trial of 7 Black Mirror Aquaman. Okay, Trial of the Chicago 7, Black Mirror, and Aquaman. Uh, oh my goodness, I don't even want to try to pronounce his name. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at all of these people, way more than they have in that picture, by the way. And I'm just scrolling through them. And a lot of these are first look deals. So I just want you to know that it's true what they were saying. Netflix has moved past the type of contracts they had in the past, and now they're going with an industry favorite called First Look, which really, that really puts a lot of pressure on Netflix to secure those deals, lest they should lose it to another studio. So I can see why that's beneficial to both parties. Oh, wow. This is a very long article. And it's just mostly telling you who all these people that they have deals with. It's just telling you who they are. But I tell you what, I will put the link in case you want to go back and check it out. Like I said, I didn't even know this article exists until today, and I'm going to check it out later myself. But there's the link, and I will pin it to the top of the chat. There you go, pin to the top of the chat. Okay, I feel better seeing this article. Not that I was feeling bad, but watch the new With Love Meghan trailer to see who drops by to hang for season 2. Don't forget, you guys, save the date. With Love Meghan returns on August 26th. Okay, that day is coming up so fast. Summer is ending really fast, and that date is coming up. That is Tuesday of next week. Tuesday of next week. So save the date. Tuesday of next week. Season 2 of With Love Meghan is going to be here. And of course, I am going to watch it, and we are going to talk about it. Yeah, I'm going to give it, well, I'm going to probably breeze right through those episodes, but I'm going to watch it and we're going to talk about it. I cannot wait. Let's see. With Love, Meghan is returning for a second season, and with it, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, will welcome a fresh host of chefs, artists, and friends to join her in Montecito. In the just launched trailer for With Love, Meghan Season 2, Meghan draws on her years of home cooking, entertaining, and all-around people pampering with notables such as Jose Andres, David Chang, Radhi Lucia, Heather Dorick, Tan France, Daniel Martin, Samin Nasrat, Jay Shetty, Claire Smith, Chrissy Teigen, and Christina Tosi. All 8 episodes of Season 2 will be available on Netflix August 26th. With Love, Meghan Season 1 is available to stream on Netflix right now. So if you feel the urge, you can always whet your appetite by watching the Season 1. Meghan Markle, Sussex, posts makeup-free video from her home kitchen. So much goodness coming soon. Another makeup-free day. I guess she's the only one in that family that goes makeup-free. Bless her heart. I don't think there's too many other people in the family that would have the courage. I'm trying not to be shady, but I don't think there's too many people in the House of Windsor that has the courage to go makeup free. But good on the People magazine for pointing that out. But yeah, it's about her cooking that pasta. Oh yeah, Meghan was makeup free in the quick clip set to the song Mia Cara Mia Amor by Annette Funicello, and showed her preparing the recipe with garlic, lemon, olive oil, and spaghetti. So yeah, that's in the People magazine. All right, we can skip past that one. Why the royal family is reluctant to reconcile with Meghan Sussex despite Prince Harry's peace talks. Somehow I missed that article too. But why are they reluctant? Well, I'm going to tell you what this, well, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to play a little sound bite so you can hear it from the young lady that you see at the bottom of the screen.
Is reluctant to make peace with Meghan Sussex. And it's because she's too smart for them to try any of their Darvo tactics with her or Harry if she's around. They'll say that it's because she runs her mouth and gives up all the family secrets. But she's not the one who wrote a memoir. That was Harry. Harry is the one who exposed his family members one by one in a book. Meghan gave an interview to Oprah, and Harry was there too. He also said things in that interview. It was not just her. Meghan and Harry show on Netflix, Harry was also there. It was not just her saying anything. They were both saying things about the royal family. Since then, she has done her With Love Meghan, and she never mentioned them, ever. There was nothing that she ever said that was untoward in that series. So the person who is actually exposing all the secrets is mostly Harry, and yet they're okay with him coming back, just not her. Do you think that's the racism, or I know why the royal family is reluctant to make peace?
Well, that is something to think about, and I didn't really look at it that way. But yeah, Harry is the one that wrote the book, and yet Meghan is the one being, punished or ostracized or called out. It depends on how they feel that particular day. But Harry is the one that's singing like Aretha Franklin, and they can't wait to get him back. But Meghan, they're like, oh no, we don't want to see her again. I didn't look at it like that, but it is true. It does seem odd that the one who wrote the book is the one that you're hankering to come back to visit, and yet the person who hasn't said anybody's name since the Oprah Winfrey interview, you can't seem to leave her alone. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Take a look there at those beautiful jars. Meghan posted that. Like she said, you can use those jars to put flowers in them or keepsakes or whatever. So I think that's lovely. And remember, you guys, I do believe that the Napa Valley Rosé 2024 is still available on the As Ever website. So if you haven't purchased any yet and you still are hoping to do so, it is still available on the As Ever website. Throwback from Chris Barron Smith. Throwback, Prince Harry for National Geographic's The Duke of Sussex at Liwonde National Park, Malawi, looking up at the baobab trees. those really big fig trees. Yeah, that's a nice image of Harry. And I guess that's the photo on the right side there, but very nice. Hey, Hazel Jones, thank you so much for joining us. Meghan Sussex Sports. Oh, yeah, you guys. I'm not going to share the article. I just screamed when I saw that. Listen to the vitriol. Listen to the negativity. Meghan Markle sports 237,000 pounds worth of jewelry and crisp white shirt to cook bizarre pasta recipe ahead of new season of downgraded Netflix show. Did you guys know that the show was downgraded? That she was cooking something rather bizarre and that the show has been downgraded? Not the contract, just the show has been downgraded. Yeah. It made sense when they said, oh, the contract is not the same. But now they're saying that the show is downgraded ahead of her downgraded Netflix show. Wearing 200. So on the one hand, you're saying that Meghan is doing okay. I mean, after all, she's wearing 237,000 pounds worth of jewelry. But on the other hand, her show has been downgraded. And then the way that you explain it to us is by finding the happiest, the most giddy image that you can find of her smiling with her arm up so you can see some of that jewelry. These people, these people, that's all I can say is these people. I don't know what else to say. All I can say is these people. They they're like well, I don't want to name any type of mental disorder because I don't want to seem insensitive, but take your choice. There is some diagnosis for this. And I mean, what is the definition of crazy? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That sounds about right. Because after all, the fact that she's wearing a crisp white shirt, and by the way, you guys, the picture on the left is not from the video. They just wanted that one because she's smiling that big smile and holding her arm up, showing the jewelry, right? So they wanted that picture so it can make her seem so out of touch with the rest of the world. Yeah, that's the whole point of that, is to make it seem like she's delirious with cash and out of touch with the way the rest of the world lives. Meanwhile, you have a royal princess that has barely worked. They have worked, well, let me put you like this. They have worked about 6 times this year, if you want to call that work, and they have been on vacation 6 times this year. Missing things like the BAFTA Awards, the Royal Ascot, and what was the latest? The VJ Day, right? 6 vacations means you only get 6 occasions for 2025. And they're worried about Meghan's rather bizarre pasta dish. Okay. I don't know if that'll stand up in court, but okay. It's downgraded so much they can't use utensils. There you go. It is downgraded so much they cannot use utensils. Absolutely. And leave it to the very trained eyes of the Daily Mail to sort that one out. I would have never noticed that Meghan was cooking with her bare hands. I would have never noticed that Meghan was cooking with her bare hands. I only just noticed that when you said it. Poor Meghan with her downgraded program. Fresh Face says, ooh, Let's do a side by side of Meghan's pasta and Kate's flapjack. Thanks, fresh face. Oh man, I think that Kate's little flapjack is probably in the British Museum. Yeah, in the British Museum. They probably have misplaced some type of space debris or something, and or some type of fossilized carcass or whatever. So in order to make up for it, they probably have used that flapjack in place of some relic that they've misplaced. So yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for the super chat. And again, in case you don't know how much was it? Yeah, in case you don't know what 37,000 pounds of jewelry looks like, that's it right there. 237K. Well, I can tell you right now, the tank watch is probably about 10K, 12K, something like that. And the Cartier Love bracelet, those go for about 6K. So I think it's the ring that really pushes it over. Let me see. When are we gonna get Kate's jam? We'll say. William said she cooks. Yeah, she cooks all right. She cooks all right. Probably, I'm gonna say she puts a kettle on to boil when she's in between cooks. That's probably about it. She puts the kettle on to boil. Thank you so much, Legs, for the super chat. She cooks as if. Hey, Lydia Washington, Helen G, Gwendolyn Daniels, cookies and cream. But yeah, these are the images that they shared. I love that tank watch. That, of course, is Princess Diana's tank watch. I think the one that Meghan purchased for herself was either white gold or stainless steel. When Meghan first started making big money, she treated herself to a tank watch. Let me grab one of my Connie Balmer Ricolas. Okay. Oh my goodness, that helps. Thank you, Connie Balmer. I just had one of my Connie Balmer Ricolas. There we go. That is the sounds of Switzerland, you guys. Here we go. For this is from 2021. For Americans who watched the Oprah interview, it boosted popularity of Prince Harry and Meghan. I just want to remind you guys that post Netflix, post Oprah interview, Harry and Meghan's popularity was boosted. You see there? Queen Elizabeth at the time, pre-interview, 53%. Post-interview, she came off with 65% popularity. Oprah Winfrey herself went from 52% to 71%. Kate Middleton went from 49 to 57. Prince Harry went from 46 to 69. Meghan went from 45% to 67%. Okay. This is amongst Americans. U.S. adults were asked if they had a favorable or unfavorable view of members of the British royal family before and after the Oprah Winfrey interview with Prince Harry and Meghan. So William was 42. He went up to 53. Prince Charles, he was Prince Charles at the time. He was 31 and went to 39%. You guys, Charles was very low at that time, and Prince Philip 30 to 45%. He went up 44%. Camilla was 20%. She only got a little bump to 31%. That is their favorability rating. Now, in terms of never heard of, heard of and had no opinion, should I say? Heard of and had no opinion. Well, that's all the yellow you see there. And never heard of, 19% of the adults they asked never heard of Prince Philip. 20% never heard of Camilla. Right? And this is pre-interview. 10% never heard of Charles. 12% never heard of Prince William. 12% never heard of Meghan. 11% never heard of Harry. 10% never heard of Kate. And Oprah Winfrey, it was such a small percentage, it's hardly even there. And Queen Elizabeth, also very small percentage. They couldn't even squeeze the numbers. So that's where they were at the time before and after the interview. So just so you know, Meghan's popularity and Prince Harry's were the highest at 67 for Meghan and 69% for Harry. That interview had a serious impact. That's why they spent months and months and months trying to tear it down. And here's another one from March of 2021. God save the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II, the most popular royal. Well, the Queen, 53, Kate, 49, Prince Harry, 46, Meghan, 45, William, 42. The Queen's corgis, 36. And look at Charles again. 21% unfavorable, only 31% favorable. Camilla Parker Bowles, only 20%. She was 23% unfavorable. Yeah, and it's not even worth mentioning George, Charlotte, Archie, Louis. I'm not even going to mention all those, but I found these today, and these were the post-interview polls, and I just wanted to share those with you. Speaking out definitely helped Harry and Meghan. I mean, if you look at that, Meghan's favorability amongst adults was 45% in this poll, and it shot up to 67%. That's why they love for Meghan to stay quiet. As much as they want to hear from her, they really prefer that she stay quiet, because the most popular person on that poll with 71% was Oprah Winfrey. And after that, it was Harry and Meghan. And the rest of those misfits fall somewhere far behind that. That is why they spend so much time going after Meghan, because if left alone, could you imagine if there was not this daily attack from the tabloid media? Could you imagine where her poll numbers would be? Somewhere in the stratosphere, I guarantee you. And in spite of the fact that they have said and done so much to try to ruin Oprah's reputation, the fact that she came out of it with 71% is just incredible. Oprah has always been a lightning rod. Okay. Let's continue here. Prince Harry crowned Coronation favorite. This is another one I just want to share with you. Results of poll of Express, and you know their polls are awful, but look at there. Out of all the people that read the Express, which is constantly anti-Sussex, look at who the favorite was amongst the people that responded to their ridiculous poll. Harry, 66%. Kate, 10. William, 9. Charles, whose coronation it was, only had 790 people, 4%, that had a favorable view of him. And oh my goodness, Charlotte, Louis, Anne, Camilla, George, the Earl of Wessex. I mean, look at how it just kind of contracts all the way down. Well, they should have let Louis dance. They should have let Louis do the stanky leg and the funky chicken. If they would have done that, I bet you he would have been right up under Harry. Right? Let him do the funky four corners with a little Charleston and Lindy Hop. He'd have been right up there with him. Oh my goodness. Be careful, William. I've always supported you, but now your behavior left me cold, and I'm not alone, says Liz Jones. We've all got the message. The 3 children of William and Kate lead lives of wholesome, old-fashioned, what is that? Enid Blyton. What is that? Enid, anyway, ordinariness. Is that Latin? Anyway, we get the message. They lead some very boring, ordinary, wholesome lives, as though they're from Boise, Idaho, as though they're from a little town in Iowa, as though they're from downstate Illinois, from some agricultural community where men are men and women are women and people kept their word, and a bunch of Amish to help you build your barn if you lose it in a tornado. That is the kind of image that they shared with us as they were followed through the fields of grain by a camera crew, as they were being produced by someone famous for commercials. I think his name was Will War. There it is in that bottom corner there. So there you have it. That is the image that they want to share with the world. But Amanda Playtell yesterday had enough of it. Liz Jones today, or yesterday, well, day before yesterday and today, has also had enough of it. They are really trying to save the monarchy. I know to some people that it may not seem like it, but they're trying to help them because there seems to be a disconnect from what they see themselves, Will and Kate, and what the rest of the world sees. Now, as far as I'm concerned, let it all crumble to the ground. Let it all crumble to the ground because they don't deserve it. But there are people who are willing to fight for it. And that includes Amanda Playtell and Liz Jones. I don't think they deserve it. I think that that they have been petty, disgusting individuals, both Will and Kate. And of course, you could always throw Charles and Godzilla in there right along with it. They do not deserve what they have because they have been absolutely terrible. And a very poor example to the tax-paying subjects of the king. A very, very petty, poor example. So they've updated this column 6 times. I hope I got the best of it. Maybe I should go back to the first update just to make sure I don't miss anything. But let's go with this one. Oh, Miss Z says, is a famed British author of children literature. I read so many of her books as a child. Oh, thank you for that. And thanks for the super chat and for being a member. So it is Enid Blyton. I'm like, is that Latin? Is that Latin? But thank you so much for that because I had no clue. So it says, we've all got the message. The 3 children of William and Kate lead lives of wholesome, old-fashioned Enid Blyton ordinariness. When not tagging along at state occasions, George, Charlotte, and Louis are frolicking in East Anglian haystacks and having sword fights with twigs. Oh, and cruising around the Greek islands aboard a super yacht. Ooh, somebody's being shady. I love it. The Wells' recent Mediterranean sojourn is just one of 4 or 5 vacations at least they've taken so far this year. Shame there was no time for the Prince and Princess of Wales to attend last week's BJ Day ceremony. William, remember, William, remember, will be head of the armed forces in the not too distant future. Yet all the couple did to mark the moment, the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War, was post a message on social media. That was all they did, was post a message on social media. They did not show up. William, remember, will be head of the armed forces in the not too distant. Oh, did I do that already? In the not too distant future. Yet all the couple did. Okay, yeah. True William broke off his Greek hollybob, accompanied by Charlotte, to cheer the Lionesses in the finals of the Euros. He is president of the Football Association, after all. But it was bad luck for the BAFTA Awards earlier in the year. William is BAFTA president and would surely have been expected to grace its biggest, glitziest night of the year. But nope, William didn't show up. William and Kate went to the Island of Mystique. It says, but a February jolly to the Caribbean island of Mystique means the Welleses missed the annual ceremony. Maybe they got wind of Tom Cruise was a no-show. It all raises a rather awkward question. Are the Welleses taking the piss? They were on the slopes last winter, of course, and again at Easter. So remember, what did I say? Seems like they would have gone to Easter. Even if Kate couldn't go, it seems like William would have just taken the kids to reassure the public. I said that last year. I'll say it again for this year. If Kate cannot go, just take the kids to the Easter so that the British taxpayers can see the children that they're spending a fortune to, give the ultimate easy life, right? Privileged life. But nope. Instead of going to Easter, they went to the slopes. They went skiing. It seems to some of us that William and Kate want the privileges of their position, the onboard chef, the freedom of never having to take out a mortgage or apply for a Capital One card, but not the tedium the job is often entails or the scrutiny. Now, remember, you guys, remember, they said that Meghan saw that there was not anything exciting about the role and she just couldn't be bothered. So she left. Isn't that what they said about Meghan? Isn't that what they said about Meghan? Meghan didn't want to do the work. Meghan doesn't like being second fiddle. Meghan this and Meghan that. And what do we have here? One of their journalists spelling it out very clearly that they weren't interested in the tedium of the role. I love this article, but not the tedium of the job so often entails or the scrutiny. Again, all of the stuff that they were saying about Meghan. The Wellses have just announced they're moving to an 8-bedroom forest lodge in the heart of Windsor Great Park, well away from prying eyes. More to the point, William has made it clear that when he's king, the lodge will be his forever home. He will not be moving his family into that globally renowned symbol of the British monarchy, Buckingham Palace. King Charles and Camilla have chosen not to live at Buck House either. Their excuse is currently undergoing a £369 million renovation. Dear God, King George VI and his family didn't budge when it was being bombed. And isn't that a good point? Buckingham Palace was actually hit during the Second World War, and they stayed. Remember what they said, that the king and queen was not going to leave, and the children was not going to go if they didn't go, right? So it made them look like a symbol of the resistance, the symbol of the British resolve, because they stayed at Buckingham Palace. And yet, even though they have some very plush and comfortable apartments, neither William or Kate or the children, Charles or Godzilla, will ever live there. They are never going to call it home. I don't think that they should anyway. The place should become a museum, open to the public. They could even rent out some of those apartments to make even more money. There's a lot of stuff they can do with Buckingham Palace that is probably a very good idea to make it more accessible to the public. I don't care if they never live there. But what I am bothered by is that they could have easily have moved into Windsor Castle, but instead they go and kick 2 families out of a house and acquire a whole new pile to call home, which means that more security is going to be needed, as it is outside of the ring of security that makes up the grounds of Windsor Castle. So either way, it is going to be millions of dollars of added expense to the British taxpayers. They're going to have to convert one of the outbuildings as a security lodge. So even if they are paying for some of the renovation, which I doubt, they're not going to be paying for the popo. They're not paying for the popo. More to the point, William has made it clear. Oh, sorry. King Charles and Camilla have chosen not to live at. Oh, I did that too. Okay, let me move on. But at least the king and queen live close by. Their London home, Clarence House, is just a short walk from the palace and is used for official visits and receptions, which is another great point, is that Charles and Queen Consort Camilla Godzilla, they are just a short walk from Buckingham Palace. Clarence House has been where they've stayed. If they're not at Highgrove, they're at Clarence House. If they're not there, then they're up at the Dumfries House, which belongs to a trust. So my point is, there's some 22 or more official royal residence, and then there's a bunch of these little rental properties that we never hear about these grace and favor places that we never hear about until something like this happens. William and Kate, once in their new digs at the end of the long private road, the doors will be firmly shut. Contrast William's attitude with that of his late grandmother. There's a scene in Netflix drama The Crown that sums it up. Philip has just finished decorating Clarence's house, making it their family home, but the late Queen, played by Claire Foy, is clear. We have to give it up, she says. The home of the sovereign of the United Kingdom is Buckingham Palace. Philip, played by Matt Smith, says who? Wait, says who? Me. Comes the one-word reply. So Queen Elizabeth and her family moved into a home they disliked because that was her job. That was the deal. Okay? So whether or not they wanted to be there, as they often say, Harry and Meghan are not giving the required sacrifice for the cause. William and Kate is adding to the taxpayers' expense. William and Kate has just evicted 2 families so that they can move into this other house. But the thing is, did they evict 2 families or 3? Because remember, there was a family at that house. There was another family at that house. So isn't it really 3 families? The family that was living there. All of this stuff was in the works for a while. We're only just hearing about it. And I bet you the negotiations started when they couldn't get Andrew, the sick old man, when they couldn't get him out of Royal Lodge, then they started looking around for something else. So this has been in the works for a while, okay? This is not brand new. I bet you they were looking at several properties. And this is the one that they were able to finesse from the existing family. So not only was the family leasing that rundown, dilapidated property kicked out, but 2 other families that lived on the grounds of that property also had to leave. All at the whim of William the Terrible. So Queen Elizabeth and her family moved into a home they disliked because that was her job. That was the deal. Of course, I have some sympathy for Kate. She has undergone major surgery. She is in remission from cancer. But the Waleses, both 43, are still young. Up until June of 2025, William had performed 71 engagements, Kate 9. They conducted 22 jointly. Yet King Charles, who is 76, carried out 233 engagements in the same period of time, even though he too has been having cancer treatment. Charles and Camilla are even shipped off on an exhausting official visit to Australia last year. My goodness, the Gloucesters in their 70s and 80s managed to visit Norwich and Suffolk on the same day. 2 cities, same day. Kate and William tend to stick close to home, which, you know what? I heard that from Celibacy. They said that Kate doesn't tend to do anything that's outside of a 15-mile radius from Adelaide Cottage. That's what Celibacy said. It isn't a new habit. After their wedding in 2011, Kate took extended breaks following the birth of her children. Kate prioritized being at home with George and Princess Charlotte when they were very young. The late Queen Elizabeth went back to work weeks after giving birth, as do many women in this country. She undertook 201 official engagements at the age of 96. And let me just throw in there, and suffering from cancer, bone cancer. debilitating, painful bone cancer. There is a video where someone says, "Your Majesty, how are you?" She says, "Well, I can't move." And she laughed. She stood in the middle of the floor waiting for them to be presented to her. And that is where she remained until they left, because she was in some of the worst possible pain. And yet, Kate, who has the energy to jump off of a yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean, Kate, who can go up and down those slopes, could not find it in her to go to the BJ Day, to the Royal Ascot, the BAFTAs, and God knows what else. Remember when Charles and Camilla were in the carriage, and neither Charles, Camilla, or William, none of them were talking to each other. And they had to invite a fourth person from the Middle East, whoever he was. They had to invite him to take Kate's place just to balance things out, because she was meant to be there. And the only reason I believe that they didn't lie and say that she was sick was because they could not say that and have her mother there on the same day. They could not say that and have William there on the same day, although William probably didn't want to be there either. But it probably took a lot to get William to go. Like I said, I love this article. One leading commentator suggests recently that Kate is at the age where you start to see clearly the difference between duty and loyalty, and pointless BS foisted on you in the name of good form, etiquette, and keeping other people happy. She will care less and care more about having a balanced life. She will care less and care more about having a balanced life. If that is true, it does not argue well. It does not argue well. We must not forget Kate has been very ill, and her recovery is the most important thing of all at this point. But William should remember that he is a popular figure who, in the words of the late Queen, must be seen to be believed. Now, that was what was in the last article from the Mail, right? The one from that other one. This is true now, and will be all the more so when he eventually becomes king. So this is the second warning in 2 days. Do your job. This is the second warning in 2 days. Two warnings in 2 days. Do your work, boo. Do your work. By the way, these are the photos that accompanied the article. Leg says, part-time royals, I thought it was in or out. Yeah, you're either in or out. There's no in between, right? That's what they said. Thank you very much, Legs. There's no such thing as half and half. You're either in or you're out. There's not supposed to be a part-time. William already made it clear that he was not going to do the type of service that the Queen and Philip has done, or that his father and Godzilla has done. He's already made it clear. Do you guys know that William, the Prince of Wales, has gone to Scotland several times, and not once has he put on a kilt? He refuses to wear a kilt. He's going to be the only king that does not wear a kilt. When he goes north of Hadrian's Wall, he refuses to wear a kilt. He's just not going to do it. And maybe that's why he's so popular in Scotland. in Scotland. Maybe that's why there's empty streets to greet him in Scotland, because he refuses to do his job. But you know what? I don't want them to change a thing. I do not want them to change a thing. I want them to keep doing exactly what they're doing. Yep, do not change a thing. They're doing the right thing. I promise. If you're listening from Kensington Palace, keep it up. Keep it up. You're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, I've been messing around today. Belfast this morning.
Well. So I want you to take a look here. Some people seems to think that Camilla is behind these very, very worrisome articles about the Waleses. A lot of people are putting or pointing their finger at Camilla, who is, after all, her son works at the Daily Mail, right? Her son works there. Not to mention all the other people from her family that are in the media. So it just stands to reason that if there was something she wanted to push, that they would probably listen to her. Cammy chose violence this week. Not sure how long this is going to last, but the two houses fighting is just so beautiful to witness. They've almost started reporting the truth about their the golden heir rather. That's from SK. Zandy Sussex says, it seems to some of us that William and Kate want the privilege of their position, the onboard chef, the freedom of never having to take out a mortgage or apply for a Capital One card, but not the tedium the job so often entails or the scrutiny. Well, that is a direct quote from that article, obviously. They want the privilege, but they don't want to do the work. Now, I went through the comments, which I love to do, and there's some juicy ones. Liz Jones is a brilliant yardstick for whatever she writes, and invariably the opposite is true. She actually performs a helpful service. Liz's law of opposites should be patented, is 100% infallible. Next one. You are talking nonsense, Jones, is spot on. You are talking nonsense. Jones is spot on. By the way, even though that's beneath that top one, it doesn't mean that it goes with that one. I just grabbed them randomly, the ones that I thought were really interesting. The Waleses are a pair of lazy, self-indulgent shirkers who are failing the king and the country. I can see William abdicating because he just doesn't have the what is that? He doesn't have the something sense of duty his father and grandmother have or had. He's a Spencer, not a Windsor, like his brother Harry. Ooh, shady to Harry that time. And then someone said, leave him alone. He had an awful time with his dad and his wife being diagnosed with cancer and also having to put up with Harry and his horrible mate. and his horrible Meghan. And then someone else followed with, and this is directly connected, don't make excuses for him. The rest of us still have to go out and earn a crust. He will have to put his socks up once he's king. Put his socks up once he's king. Okay, I never heard that expression before. Or how about this one? William is shirking his duty and indulging himself by retreating further and further into private domestic life. His children are at school and his wife has plenty of staff to help her. What on earth does he do with himself all day? Sit around planning more holidays? Both of the king's sons are useless waste of space. Yeah, useless waste of space. Again, being very shady to Harry for Harry's not even involved with this. Um, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Leave him alone and his family. Liz Jones, you are a despicable human who has written awful and often untrue, twisted stories and put things so out of context that it's no longer the truth. Journalists should put out the truth and not make up their own versions of reality. I wish they would do that with Meghan, just tell the truth. Just once, I wish you would write a unbiased, truthful article and try being a kind of honest person for once instead of a joke. Now, where is this person when they're slandering the Sussexes, lying and making up stuff? Where is this person when that happens? Now, someone responded to that one by saying, "It is you who are. It is who. It is you. I'm sorry. It is you. Are you? Wait. It is you. Are or you're not. Oh God. Uh, Liz Jones is right. William is shirking his duty and is failing his father and the country. A man of 43 should be doing more than going on constant holidays. Most men his age have to work and work hard while he sits about doing nothing. And the last one here, despicable pair of leeches carrying to royal tradition or fleecing the commoners to fund their obscenely opulent lifestyles. Ooh, I know. I know. You guys, listen, Will and Kate are being eviscerated out there. They are being grilled like bacon. You can just hear the bubbling and the hissing from the bacon on the grill. The amazing way Kate Middleton shows up for her children, revealed by fellow school mom. She may be royal, but Kate is like any other mom when it comes to her kids' sporting events. Now, here we go again with this. Because of all of the criticism that they're going through right now, they ran this article today saying that Kate is just another mom. She's so good with her kids, blah, 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 blah. They are not helping her. This is only making things worse. Just like with the comments I just shared with you, it's only making things worse. They seem to think that if they can brainwash or gaslight people with all of this, how wonderful Kate is, that people are going to ignore the fact that a seemingly healthy 43-year-old woman who has just come back from 6 holidays, moving into her 6th home, that this woman who doesn't miss a school run, according to this person, they seem to ignore the fact that people are wise to the fact that Kate is an able-bodied adult who could do more than nothing. 6 engagements for the entirety of 2025. 6 engagements. Cancer specialist condemns UK Telegraph column praising Kate Middleton making public appearance. Absolutely appalling. Do you remember this one? This article was in regards to that statement, other mere mortals probably wouldn't have gone to Troop in the Colors or probably wouldn't have been able to blah, blah, blah. And that created a round of criticism directed at Kate Middleton while they were carefully curating this, oh, pitiful, sorrowful Kate. Everybody should hug Kate and sing Kumbaya. Instead of that, what they did was made a lot of people angry. I remember all of the comments that were made. Well, I have to go to work. I have to do the shopping. I have to do this and do that, all while taking my treatment. And I'm a mere mortal. That was really bad for Kate. Once again, I have to say, instead of helping her, they're actually causing more pain. They're causing more pointed language in her direction. Okay, got some more comments for you guys. I got some more, and it's comments that are related to that last article, the one that says, the amazing way Kate Middleton shows up for her children, right? So it says here, why does this idle person get these headlines? Sorry, but it's time she got a job for the first time in her life instead of sponging off the public and her rich husband. Shit. Twinkle Toes says, there are hundreds of mothers dealing with cancer and going through active treatment, having to work full time to keep a roof over their heads, attend their children's events, run a house without any help, all done without a fanfare. They just get on with it because they have to. Hello. Harold says, no relation. Harold says, the Duchess of Kent was patron of Wimbledon for decades, carried out more royal duties than Kate when she was in her 80s, and worked as a music teacher in a school in Hull. Enough with the cancer guff. We've all had to carry on with life, and it's getting ridiculous now. You thought the other ones were kind of sharp and pointed. And then this person replies, cancer guff? And Harold says, it's being trotted out constantly through doing the bare minimum is miraculous. I'm sorry, though doing the bare minimum is miraculous. There are people in this country hauling themselves to work sick with chemo just to have a roof right now. It's getting downright insulting. Okay, like I said, they're not helping her. They are not helping her. Another comment says, what else does she do that every other mom does? She does the very minimum of royal duties. And don't give me that guff about recovering from cancer. Other moms work, attend chemo, and get on with life. Kate is a sponger. Even the Queen told William that Kate should get a career. She didn't bother Nepo child that she is. She didn't bother Nepo child that she is. Well, These people have a lot to say. Bill Middleton and Duchess of Do Very Little are the laziest royals around. Even the very few engagements, they are the fun ones. Even very few engagements they have are the fun ones. Okay. Like going to the Wimbledon final, opening an old people's home on a rainy day in Hull, not for these two. So, in other words, they will go to the Wimbledon finals, but opening an old people's home, they ain't gonna do that. Not for these two. So, Saint Kate, the breeder of Doolittle, breaks cover to work the uneducated bootlickers in an uncontrolled sycophantic frenzy of fawning and gushing. And lastly, it is not Kate telling these stories, it's other people talking out of turn. So take your comments out on them, not her. Okay, you know what? That is a point. I'm going to have to say that is a very valid point. It is not Kate that is saying these things about her being this or being that. That is the tabloids trying to save the monarchy from Kate and William because of their laziness. And so they have to be very creative to make it seem like they're actually doing something for the country. And therein lies the problem, is that they have to be very creative to try to find some kind of way to make people believe that they're worth the 23 million pounds that William makes from the Duchy of Cornwall, that they're worth round the clock royal protection, that they're worth a fleet of trains, planes, and automobiles and helicopters to take them whenever and wherever they want to go. Business Insider. People are furious that Prince William and Kate Middleton want to add an extravagant basement to their London palace. Now, that is an old article that is about the Kensington Palace. Last month, the Daily Mail tracked down planning documents for a 2-story iceberg basement at the palace that will free up the palace uh, suites for the royal family. Apparently, the existing 22 rooms and 2 kitchens aren't enough. 22 rooms and 2 kitchens. And remember, they added a second kitchen. So 22 rooms and 2 kitchens was not enough. They had plans to do what they call an iceberg home, where you dig into the basement, sometimes 3 levels down, so that you can make even more space for recreation, a swimming pool, or whatever they add to it. Now, whether or not this was actually completed, I don't know, but it is not inexpensive to do that. And I'm not even sure that a listed building like Kensington Palace is supposed to have a dugout sub basement like that. I'm not even sure that that's allowed. So I don't know if that ever happened, but it's interesting that they presented plans to do that. Will and Kate proposed basement would be used as office space for palace staff and also house of ceremonial dress collection. The Daily Mail made this mock-up of how it might look. I don't have that available, but that is interesting that they were proposing to do that. Again, I don't know if that happened. I do know that Diana's old apartment was actually used for offices, is currently being used for offices and storage. Now, that article was posted by Baroness Bruck. And if you know, she is a royalist and she has made some very interesting comments. She is not very happy with things since Queen Elizabeth has died. and she has been speaking out against the institution. She's still a royalist. She's not a squatty, but she will speak out against that institution. She says, I remember this well. Not only were, uh, what is that, HRP offices and storage rooms moved reluctantly, but the move required extensive renovation to build a 2-level basement to host staff and 2 custom kitchens for Kate. Renovation costs were blamed on asbestos, but that wasn't the problem for what is HRP? What is HRP? Anyway, not my king says, I remember that they had already started making the place for events, asbesto included, so there was another income stream lost to royal greed. What I'm referencing is historic royal palaces working area. The renovation expenses were blamed on asbestos, but many of those same rooms were used for offices, museum grade storage, and meeting rooms. Conference, teaching, and outreach were done there. So, again, I don't have any clue what that looks like or if it actually happened. Yes. I like I said, she speaks out, um, and she usually does target Will and Kate. Okay, let's continue. Kate Middleton struggles behind closed doors. Prince William's wife unofficially steps back from duties after rough return to royal life following cancer battle. That is a new article that was posted by Radar. That is a new article that was posted by Radar. So, according to Radar, Kate the Magnificent is having a hard time right now. Not going up and down the ski slopes, not the Isle of Mystique, not the 450 million pound yacht, right? Not the other ski trip. None of that stuff caused her problems. But right now, she's trying to find balance. The royal family's annual summer break couldn't have come fast enough for Kate Middleton, as the Princess of Wales is still suffering emotionally and physically in the aftermath of her cancer battle. Radar can reveal 8 months after revealing the disease was in remission, Middleton has put on a brave public face for royal events while struggling at home with her family. Now, guys, I hate to sound cynical, but y'all know darn well that this is something straight out of Kensington Palace. They're not getting the cooperation from the Daily Mail. They're not getting the cooperation from the Sun. So they go to the Radar and say, here, print this article, write about this. Are you ready? Yes. Kate is still struggling, blah, 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 blah. One of the things about being royal is that you can suffer and only share it with your staff and your family, not with the public, as you're supposed to be an example to everyone. If you want to be an example to everyone, tell us what kind of cancer it was so that other people will have the foresight to do something about it should they find the same symptoms. But they're not going to do that because they don't want us to know what kind of precancerous cells it were, right? They're not going to tell us where the precancerous cells were found and what type of surgery Kate was going through when they found the precancerous, non-cancerous cells. Royal return. The princess has taken it slow when returning to royal life. She's thrilled fans with her appearance at Troop in the Color in June and wowed them by attending the men's and women's finals at Wimbledon the following month. Okay. And then it says, okay, still struggling, royal return. Did I do still struggling? Yes, I did. Royal return, yes. The last one is pacing herself. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just sharing the first few sentences. This summer is all about pacing herself. The late Queen's Elizabeth II, former spokeswoman Alison Anderson revealed about Middleton, she gets so much sustenance in nature. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. She gets so much sustenance in nature, and she's lucky to have homes in some of the most beautiful parts of Britain, in Norfolk and in the Windsor estate. Anderson raved she's being sensible, listening to what her body is telling her, and easing back into public life. She'll be able to re-energize herself. Following Troop in the Color, Kate was noticeably absent at Royal Ascot horse racing event later in June, which William attended solo. She had been scheduled to attend, but pulled out at the last minute. Like I said, they're not helping her at all. Was Kate in the farm shop video suffering? No, Legs. I'm glad you said that. Kate in the farm shop video was practically skipping on the way out of there. They were moving at a very fast pace, if I recall. So, yeah, not only was Kate moving fast at the farm shop, but she also went to a sport event for her children the day before. See how inconsistent that is? She was moving so fast coming out of that farm shop. She almost set a land speed record for anyone who's ever had abdominal surgery and precancer cells. And for months, they would tell us that Kate was here, Kate was there, Kate did this, Kate does that. Kate hasn't missed a school run in 3 weeks. That's what they kept telling us. But yet, Kate was a no-show when Kate felt like not showing. Kate was curiously unable, unwilling, out of balance, imbalance when it suits her. Like she was out of balance after the ski holiday, but she was very balanced while she was going up and down the slopes. And did you all notice how angry they were about those photos? How William threatened to sue about those photos. They literally talked to their lawyers about those solos. You see, they had a negotiation with all of the British tabloid media, but the French news agency, Mach, I guess it is, or Mach, they didn't see it that way. William tried to make it about the privacy of his children, but the truth is, it was because they caught his wife slatting around on a pair of skis. And they weren't supposed to see that. Thank you, Legs. Also, let me see, as Kate said, recollections may vary of her accounts. Thank you, Legs. Recollections may vary. So one person may say that she's trying to find balance. Another person says she's unbalanced. It just depends on the day of the week, what type of vacation what type of fun event, that's when she knows how she's going to feel, is when she wakes up that morning and say, I ain't going. I'm not going. Yeah, we pay you post. That's what they told Meghan. I remember that is what they said to Meghan. Um, we are supposed to offer grace to Kate, the person who cares so much for childhood development that she let them abuse her pregnant sister-in-law. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, look at this big sloppy mess in the back of the car. Queen Camilla charity forced to close shop amid financial pressures. Well, another one bites the dust. One of Queen Camilla's patron charities has been forced to make a difficult decision in the face of ongoing financial pressure. The Prospect Hospice, which provides end-of-life care for people across Wiltshire, has been supported by the Queen since she became its president in 2013. This week, the charity confirmed it will close one of its shops. In a statement, the charity said the decision to close has not been an easy one, but continued financial pressure across the charity sector, including rising costs and the changing shopping habits, mean Prospect Hospice has to focus our resources where it can have the greatest impact on funding patient care. So, what, if anything, is Camilla going to do? Nothing. So it's the Marlborough House High Street, that is, store will shut its doors on Saturday, September 6th. Well, that's unfortunate, but remember, they say the royals do charities, and charities benefit from the royals' presence. Yet here's another one of many that have shuttered because it does not make a difference whether you have a royal patron or not, unless you're Prince Harry, of course. So, yeah, Buckingham Palace tour start here. I guess the difficult thing when people go to the Buckingham Palace tours, if they should happen to come upon members of the royal family, it's going to be hard to convince them that it's not a waxwork, that it's actually a living, breathing person, because it's easy to run into Kate or Charles or Camilla or William, and you get the idea that you're looking at something from Madame Tussauds, but nope, it's actually members of the royal family. Now, hateful professor who insists St. George flag represents racism, not patriotism, and should be changed, leaves TV viewers outraged. Now, I didn't watch the clip, but because we were discussing this the other day, I thought I would share it with you. That is the St. George flag, right? That's the official flag of England. And then, of course, the St. Andrew's cross, that is the Scottish flag. The Union Jack is for both, for all of the above. That is the St. Patrick's cross, the St. George cross. And if you combine that with the St. Andrew's cross, you get the Union Jack. See there? You put the St. Andrew and the St. George together. And then that was 1606, right? But then later on, they added the St. Patrick cross for Ireland. And then finally, bada boom, bada bing, you got the Union Jack, 1801. Good night, Mary H. Thank you for joining us. And right here, this person says, I'm not far right. I'm worried about my kids. So I guess, I'm not from the UK. And as a person of color, I still couldn't possibly know what the Union Jack means to people in the UK. The only thing I can compare it with is the rebel flag here in the US. The rebel flag, which is symbolic of Southern pride, they say, but it's actually a regimental flag that was used during the Civil War. But that was not the flag for the South. It was just one army regiment that used that particular flag. And even, I think it was Jefferson Davis, the president of the South, of the Confederacy, he said that that flag should be retired and put in a drawer and forgotten about. No one from the South at the time was interested in the rebel flag. But I'm I'm going to say yes. I believe that for some people from the South, it represents Southern pride. But for an African American from the South or for the North, it represents something far more sinister. But I want to be fair and say that if people from the South feel as though that represents the values of the old days, minus the slavery, of course, fine. But I still reserve the right to feel uncomfortable when I see it being waved around. I still reserve the right to feel uncomfortable if someone shows up at my house to do work on my home with that flag on the back of their truck, like happened about a couple of weeks ago, where the lady had told the guy that you are not coming in my house. I don't like your flag. I don't like what it stands for. The guy offered to take it down, and the lady said, it's too late. Thank you, but no thanks. So if the England flag has the same effect on minorities or people of color, I could understand why some people don't like to see it. And that's why I said a couple of weeks ago that I was shocked when I saw it all over number 10 Downing Street. Now, it was explained to me at the time that this represents the Lionesses because they are a team from England. And you know what? I get it. I get it. That is perfectly acceptable. And I'm not here to judge it because it doesn't really have anything to do with me. But I just thought it did shock me when I saw it because you don't really see the English flag as much as you will see the Union Jack. So that was it. I'd be interested to know what you all think about that. Let me see exactly, Baron. The Southern war heroes said the Civil War was a stain in the U.S. history. Yeah, yeah, and something that a lot of people just really wanted to forget about. But then, of course, after Reconstruction, all hell broke loose, and we cannot not think about it. Let's see. It actually isn't history. It is part of. Oh, okay. It is. Oh, let me make sure my mic is working because I just hit it. It is okay. Yeah, it is working. It is part of the lost cause put forward by many of the daughters of the Confederacy, like they needed a symbol. Oh, like yeah, I see what you mean by that. Just like most of these, most of the what do you call it? Those Civil War hero monuments. Those were erected back in the 1920s, back in the 19 teens. It was like a reaction to the what was that movie? Uh, um, um, the that racist movie, War. Was it War something? Oh Lord, I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. But you know which one I'm talking about. The one that was endorsed by the Klan. Oh well, I'm sorry, but thank you, Legs, for the super chat. I just cannot remember the name of that movie. It wasn't War and Peace. It was something about the South. Um, oh well, I'm sure you all. Birth of the Nation. Thank you, Birth of the Nation. I couldn't think of that for anything. Birth of the Nation. That horrible movie, which sold out in New York City day after day after day. They had a special screening of it in New York City. It was a very popular movie, and it was like a recruitment film for the Klan. It was a white supremacy nightmare. And you know, it is unfair that white supremacists have used the flag of St. George. They have hijacked it. And so, even though that's not the intention for a lot of people, like the woman says, I'm not far right, I'm worried about my kids. That's understandable. That is understandable. And I think where we go wrong is when someone is worried about their kids, when we don't listen, when we're dismissive and don't hear their concerns. That is when people start getting pushed further and further to the right. That is why we have the monster in the White House, is because there's a lot of people who felt like no one was listening to them. And it's a lesson learned. As far as I'm concerned, it is a lesson learned that if you push people too much, then you're going to bring out the worst of that person, not the best. Just something to think about. I mean, there's some people that are just going to be, right wing no matter what. But, I believe this lady when she says, I'm just worried about my kids. Everybody's worried about their kids. And I don't think it's good to be dismissive when people are concerned about their children. Was it? I'm not surprised. Walt Disney was quite a racist, like Henry Ford. Let's see. Unfortunately, the Daughters of the Confederacy wanted people to remember the war generals who were dying around the 1910s and 20s. So they slowly erected these symbols in public and causes. Okay. Okay. I didn't know that, but that's why, because a lot of them were dying off. Like with the thing in Washington, the Second World War um, monument, the way that so many people were dying, they were just like, oh, we got to get this monument up because of the greatest generation. They're dying, they're dying. So yeah, I that makes sense. Now I understand. I thought it was because of the birth of the nation, but it was that too. Thank you. I did not know that. There's a difference between English and British. The French have managed to integrate their culture better with foreigners than the English. Right, right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. Yeah, the flag of St. George represents England, right? So just so that we're all clear, let me go back. St. Andrew's Cross represents Scotland. St. George Cross represents England. Oh, England and Wales. Oh, I didn't see that before. King colors. Okay, so they called it the King colors back in 1606. And then you have the St. Patrick's Cross, as you can see, integrated into the Union Jack, which became the flag for the United Kingdom. And I think it's okay to call it the British flag too, right? But yes, so again, the Red Cross is the flag of St. George, which represents England, which is why the lionesses used it. Even though I was shocked to see it and I found it a little shocking, it's perfectly okay because it appropriately represented the lionesses. Okay? That's it. I'm not saying, so don't start saying, well, you said that I'm not saying that they should not have used it. I'm just saying some people get nervous when they see it. Okay? That's all I'm saying. I don't get nervous. It don't have anything to do with me. So please listen carefully. Don't say I said something I didn't say, please. Let me see here. I don't agree with this, that it represents hate or racism. I have never seen it as such. It's just unfortunate that some far right people are misusing it. Absolutely. And by the way, thank you for 27 months membership, which is exactly what I said, that right wingers have hijacked the flag and they used it as a symbol of their, you know, white supremacy in some cases. So again, do not say that Barron said that. I'm just saying how some people look at it. Okay? We're having a grown folks conversation. So please don't accuse me of something I did not say. First and foremost, it ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't live there. I'm not a subject of the king. I'm just making conversation because we talked about it before. I just want us to all understand what it means and how it has been used by some people and misappropriated by others. Okay? That's all we're doing. Do not say I said something terrible. Okay. Wait, let me see what the caption there says. So, Good Morning Britain viewers were left outraged by guests who proposed removing the St. George flag from England on Tuesday. The segment comes after an increased number of people have used the flag and the Union Jack to oppose immigration in the UK, into the UK. So, there. What's that? Let me see. Racist people use the English flag to, oh no, and say, I avoid areas where they display that flag. Bonnie Mighty, I understand because I'm the same way with the rebel flag. When I see it, and also when I see flags for that current occupant of the White House, if I see someone wearing that hat, that red hat, of course, that is going to cause alarm for me. Okay? That is going to make me very nervous. When I see that, I get nervous. Get nervous when they see the EDF and right-wing followers use and exploit it. I'm fine with the Lionesses and also our English footballers and other sportsmen and women use it. Thank you for that, Helen G. The French try to suppress other cultures. In other words, strong laws against wearing of headscarves for religious reasons. That's why there's continuous disconnect with the children of immigrants. Well, yeah, and it is, the laws are one thing, but another reason why there's a disconnect is because whenever children immigrate, anytime there's immigrants, it's the children that repeat the racism of their parents. And they carry these racist attitudes. Like, for instance, whenever a Black family integrates a white community, you'll have the children. It always starts with the children, not the adults, the children. when the 2016 election took place, there was a school, a mostly Mexican American school, mostly Hispanic school, and they were playing against a mostly white American school. And because the white school was losing the basketball game, the white kids started yelling and chanting, "Build that wall, build that wall, build that wall." And so all of these Hispanic, Latino, Mexican American kids went home in tears after that game. They went home in tears. So quite often, these things start with the children. The children just parrot whatever they heard from their parents and other adults and other kids. And that is where a lot of the conflict starts, is with the children first. Not always, but it usually starts in the schools. It starts with the children. But it originates from the parents. It originates from the adults. And there are very lurid conversations around the dinner table. Let's see. There is a difference between England, Britain, and the UK. Thank you for that, Legs. So, England is a country. The United Kingdom, that is, I'm trying to make sure I get this right. That is England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, right? And Britain, that's like all of the islands, the British Isles, which includes Ireland, is part of the British Isles, right? I've seen an explanation for this before, and it gets so complicated and layered. So Northern Ireland is under British rule. The Republic of Ireland is, independent under Irish, rule, right? And Northern Ireland is where most of the Protestants lived before the Irish got their independence. I think I got that right. And so, in order to maintain a presence, and of course, you didn't want to try to uproot all of the Protestants in Northern Ireland, they just decided to make Belfast the capital, and that the mostly Protestants would keep that area as their own, kind of like the British did with Pakistan and India. Pakistan did not exist before the British started drawing lines and saying, "Hey, you're another country now. You're India and you're Pakistan." And they ignored all of the tribal boundaries and nomadic people throughout India, and they just did like they did with Africa. They just started drawing lines the way they did with Iran and Iraq. Never mind the Persians or the Arabs and the differences between the different sects, like the Sunnis and the Shiites. They just decided this is where this is, and that is where that is, and there is nothing you can do about it. Am I right about that? Anyway, thank you, Legs. Okay. Let me see. I was called the N-word once in my life as a child, and it came from a white child, something I never forget. Yeah, which is why I don't like the N-word. I don't know why people throw that word around so carelessly, but I don't use it. I don't like it, and I don't use it. It triggers me. And it's because of the times when I have been called that name and being called that name by people that you don't know if they're going to try to hurt you or not, that is a very, very horrible feeling. I had lived in the suburbs one time, and on 2 occasions, I've heard that yelled from a car going by. I heard someone yell that into the intercom of the building I lived in. So yeah, that was kind of a scary thing. All I was doing was washing my car, and all of a sudden some people rolling past just decided to yell that out the window. And I was very hurt by that. I felt vulnerable. I don't think I stayed out there but 1 year. And then I moved back to the city. I'm like, hell, I'm not staying out here. Okay. Oh, thank you very much, CR. Is it CR Lake? Thank you very much for that. Okay. And of course, there is the what do you call it? The parodies and the what do they call it? The exaggerations that they make about anyway, if you look on the left, the AI, that is the image that they have. That is the image that they have. And then on the right, there's another image of how people see Britain. Again, AI can be very cruel. Technically, the flag shows the representation. No, I missed that, I think. Let me go back. Oh, okay. Oh, really? Okay. So Britain is typically Scotland, England, Wales. England subjugated the Welsh early on. They killed their king and heirs. Then the English king gave the title Prince of Wales to his heir. Yes, I knew about that. I knew about that one. Yeah, the what do you call it? When Charles had his coronation, not his coronation, when Charles went around to all the different realms so that the parliaments of each realm could pledge their allegiance to him, Charles deliberately went to Wales on what would have been a day of remembrance or celebration or something for the last official ruler, native Welsh ruler of Wales. Remember that? And Michael Sheen, the actor, he spoke out about it. Of all days for Charles to show up and be declared the King of Wales, he actually did that on a day that acknowledged the last sovereign, native born sovereign of Wales. And that was probably done deliberate. It's why the Welsh really hate the title Prince of Wales. They remember how the title was established. They didn't want to use it. Yeah, and that's the reason why there is a movement to learn the Welsh language. When I went to Cardiff, they had everything. It's like a bilingual community. All of the signage was in Welsh, and then it was underscored with English names. So it is very clear when you go to Wales that they have their national pride and they do not see themselves as English. They want to make it very clear that Wales is another country with their own parliament. So, yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. And the reason, of course, why I went to Wales is because I wanted to go to the castle where Harry and Meghan went. But it was pretty chill. I took the city tour. I had a good time. The people were very nice. And I don't know if I would ever go back, but I did have a good time. Okay. My favorite sign in all of the United Kingdom, Barons Court. That is a metro station. I got off the train at Barons Court for obvious reasons. And here's another example. Which country is most represented in the Union Jack by area? England, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to say England, maybe. Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, 44%. 44.44%. Scotland, 41.98%. Northern Ireland, 13.58%. And Wales, they got 0.0000. I don't know where I got this from. I'm not sure what point they were making. Are they talking about the area of the flag or the area of the map? I'm not sure. Oh, I think they mean the flag because none of these symbols have anything to do with Wales. Yeah, none of that has to do with Wales. That's why you see there, the box for Wales is empty because none of the Union Jack represents Wales. The Welsh flag is a dragon. Yeah, remember, England is the lion. Scotland is a unicorn. Wales is a dragon. And Northern Ireland, I think that is a harp. Yeah, I think that is a harp. I think so. My grandson speaks both Welsh and English to hold on to their language. I think that's pretty cool. Now, Welsh is one of the Celtic languages, right? Like Scottish, Irish, and Welsh, those are all considered Celtic languages, I think. And there you go. That is another representation of the St. George cross, the most sinister representation of them all, where St. George slays, imprisons, chains, and slays the brown person. And they still use that, don't they? They still use it. Imagine using something like this in 2025. Oy vey. Let me see. Welsh aren't represented because England killed their king. Thank you, Legs. Because England killed their king. And then decided to name every crown prince thereafter the Prince of Wales. That is insulting. That is very, very insulting. Let me see here.
While we struggle struggle to heat our homes, we have to pay for your parade. The taxpayer pays 100 million for you, and what for? Needham Renin, not my king. Charles, while we struggle to heat our homes, we have to pay for your parade. The taxpayer pays 100 million for you, and what for? Needham Renin, not my king.
That's what I was trying to do. Let me see here. Welsh-born actor Michael Sheen questioned the timing of Charles's visit to Wales. Owen Glendar Day commemorates the day in 1400 when he began a 15-year uprising against the then King of England. If it was done without realizing it, the significance of the date, then one does wonder what being Prince of Wales for so long actually meant if you're not aware of what that day means. So Charles, being the Prince of Wales for God knows how many years, confirmed back in what, 1969? All those years he was the Prince of Wales, and he had the nerves to show up to be confirmed as king on the day that celebrates what I just said. Now that was a real slap in the face. There's no way Charles did not know that. The very same day. All I got to say is the caucasity of it, the caucasity of Charles showing up on that day. The caucasity of it. uh oh well, yeah, that's okay, well, thank you for sharing that. All of that. Thank you for sharing it. Ooh. A long word. Okay. So as you can see in the background, that is how a lot of people have seen the flag, the St. George flag, the English flag used. And so that's why a lot of people get nervous, because they associate it with white supremacy. But let's remind ourselves and others that the flag itself is not the problem. It's how it has been hijacked and used by people that want to use it as a rallying cry for, against the immigrants and such. So that's where the problem comes from. Far from being racist, our love of flags is a longing for an identity that's becoming dangerously eroded. Peter Hitchens. Why do we care so much about flags? Why do ordinary common sense people put them up? And why do politically correct councils tear them down? So yes, there's a lot of councils where not only are they not interested in using the flag, they also do not want a portrait of the King of England right now. So there's a lot of changes happening in the UK. There's a, as they call it, multiculturalism, and the change is very rapid. Change is very rapid. And there's a lot of fear mongering. One of the reasons why a lot of things happen is because politicians love to use the fear of others against everybody. They believe that hate brings people together, the fear of others. If you can make the immigrant the boogeyman, then, you know, that will ensure people will vote for you. People will support you. You can fundraise with fear tactics. Unfortunately, it is very effective, the fear of others. It's very unfortunate because a lot of people get hurt. A lot of innocent people get hurt because of that. Hello, Ivy here. Hey, Ivy. We were just having an interesting conversation about the English St. George flag and how it has become feared by some, and it has been used as a rallying cry for others or whatever. But very, very touchy subject in some quarters. What's that? Bet your bottom dollar my council has King Charles III pictures up in the council chambers. Well, remember 46,000 bodies, whether they government or not-for-profit agencies and so on, 46,000 photos have been rejected. 46,000. That is a staggering number and quite a indictment on the popularity of King Charles III. If anything says we don't like you, it is the fact that 46,000 photos have been rejected. That is unheard of. 46,000. We do not want your image in our facility. That has got to be hurtful and embarrassing. If I was Charles, I would be so embarrassed. Let me see. Brits are conflicted about the Union Jack, and unlike in the US, it's not usually flown public buildings. It's why Reform Party wants it in councils they control, nor citizens, unlike in America. Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. That's why I said when I saw all those flags at the number 10 Downing Street, I was like, what is going on here? They had them covering the windows. They had them along the Iron Gate. I've never seen that before. I don't think I've ever seen the Union Jack or the St. George flag. I don't think I've ever seen either one of them, but especially the St. George flag really stuck out because you almost never see it. You almost never see it anywhere you go. In Scotland, in some areas, they speak their own language. There are areas closer to Norway than London, and they have strong traditions. I heard Gaelic being spoken in Scotland on my many visits. Okay. That's interesting. I did not know that. Baroness, my granny used to say, oh, you wouldn't believe it, when we were sent an email of Kate and her early years work. I didn't even read it. I deleted it. Good for you. Good for you. Oh, racist people display the flag in their home windows. Okay. Now, I tell you, I don't know if they still do the Pledge of Allegiance here in the United States, but when I was growing up, every day before class, we all had to stand up and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. And then at some point, I noticed that at least a couple of kids did not do it because their parents had told the school that my child is not saying no Pledge of Allegiance, period. And so those kids were not required to do it. Now I understand why, but at the time, I was just like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why they don't say it. Yeah, so many people not wanting that portrait is very telling. Oh, there we go. Oh, did I miss somebody's 27 months? Did I miss that? Who's got that many days, months? Sorry if I missed that. Let me see. It's been a while, and in the current climate, it is a sensitive topic in some areas. Yeah, I wish I could find the picture, but I saw a photo of the lionesses at the number 10, and I saw the flags all over the place. I'm like, that's unusual, right? You don't really see that often. And then it was explained to me that because the lionesses is the English team, that's why they had the flag. So, you know, again, you guys, I don't have any skin in it. The flag doesn't mean anything to me. I'm an American, so I'm like Bennett. I ain't in it. I'm not saying anything good or bad about it. I'm just saying I was surprised to see it, and I do understand that some people are alarmed to see it. Other people feel like it's just part of their national pride. And then, of course, there's some people who use it as a way to demonstrate their white supremacy. So it means different things to different people, right? That's all I'm saying. So please do not say that Barron said this or said that about it. I don't care about that flag. I'm just making conversation. We're adults and we should be able to discuss this without accusing someone or saying something they didn't. Let me see. They still do it, Baron. However, when I was growing up, I had religious exemption. It says one nation under God. It is a particular God they have in mind. Some of my friends left. Then I came back. Okay. So they still do the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Now, the history of that started with the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. There was a school teacher who wanted every child in America to celebrate the 1893 World's Fair as a way to demonstrate national pride because the World's Fair in Chicago brought about 30 million people from every corner of the earth to the city of Chicago. So the day that the World's Fair opened, which was, I believe, in May, in the month of May, it was open from May until October. The day it opened, every school child in America was required to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. And from there, that's where it evolved. It was from the 1893 World's Fair. Let me see. The problem is they have no passion or interest. They feel entitled and arrogant. They don't have to do anything, especially when the tabloids protect them. Oh, you're speaking of Will and Kate. Yeah, they have no passion, and everything that goes wrong from them They want to blame it on Harry and Meghan instead of identifying their own deficiencies. Like any bully, you blame other people for your shortcomings. The right wing took the England flag as theirs. So now, when most people fly that flag to represent England, it differentiates from Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It is generally seen as a is that racist symbol? RE symbol, racist symbol. Let me see. After World War II, they put God on everything. They even put it on the money. It was a way to embrace nationalism and fight communism. Oh, so it wasn't until World War II that they started doing that. I didn't know that. Oh, right wing. Right wing. I got you. Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, it was really jarring to the public when the conservatives started to use the Union flag during their pandemic addresses. Okay. Well, this is an interesting topic. I'm glad we're having a conversation because, like I said, I just I wasn't sure what to make of it, and I thought if it was interesting to me that maybe somebody else was curious about it. Oh, okay. Like the Jehovah Witnesses and such. Okay, thank you. Uh no, I don't think I've ever seen that. Yep, I don't think I've ever seen that. Hey, Heather Stroud. I didn't know you were here. Heather Stroud says, I wonder how long England will keep the United Kingdom or the Commonwealth. Well, that's a good question. I don't think Charles is interested in the Commonwealth, especially now that he has realized how unpopular he is in the Commonwealth. They did not even want Charles to head the Commonwealth. Queen Elizabeth asked as a favor to please recognize my heir because within the Commonwealth, there is no rule that a Windsor must be the head of the Commonwealth. That was a favor to Queen Elizabeth. And if the subject ever comes up again, y'all know that William, the global statesman, will never, ever head the Commonwealth. And of course, he knows it and he's not interested in the Commonwealth anyway, probably for that reason. Let's see, if Kate continues use of cancer as an illness is insulting and infuriating. I just lost my cousin yesterday from cancer. She has a twin. I pray for her. Rest in peace. Charlesetta. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Marshar. I'm very sorry to hear that. If any other Windsor women attempt to go makeup free, they would be unrecognizable and perhaps look a decade older. Well, I've seen Sophie. I believe she was makeup free. Wait, I believe that was Sophie Wessex. Yeah, I think the Commonwealth, the way I see it, as a way to deny the end of the British Empire, it is a way to, like the Queen said in her speech, our family of nations. It's a way to try to make it seem bigger, make the British Empire seem like it's still as relevant as it was, in the past. But I mean, really, it's not much of an empire anymore, is it? And there's really nothing common about the Commonwealth. Um, I don't think that Britain has enough money for Britain, let alone to try to do any type of funding in other countries. I don't think that's possible now. The UK needs as much money as they can find to take care of the UK. They don't have money to spread around like that. I mean, really, there's only one country on the face of the earth that has money for everybody, and that's China. China has thrown money here, there, and everywhere, which is why they're winning in so many other countries in Africa, in the Caribbean. That's why they're winning, is because they have the money. The US doesn't have that kind of money anymore, even though we pretend like we do. And even though I believe money is virtual, but we just do not have that kind of wealth to throw around. But China, they seem to have unlimited money. And so I would say that the United States empire is in a state of decline rather. And they say the peak of the United States as an empire, even though people don't like to call it that, was 1973. And since 1973, it has been a slow and steady decline. Ever since 1973. That was the date that I was quoted, 1973. And since then, the US has been on a very slow decline. And it wasn't until the 1990s that people began to notice, hey, we're not so big and bad anymore. And then by 2008, 2008, people were like, you know what? Why has my salary been stuck for the past 10 years? Let me see. If it wasn't for the Sussex squad, I would have never be known. There was such thing as a Commonwealth Day. uh, oh, they wanted the resources, but not representation from any of the nations except Australia or Canada. They were colonizers. Yeah, yeah, we had a surplus under Bill Clinton, a budget surplus, whatever surplus. And by 2008, by the time George Bush did all of his work, by the time he did his thing, unnecessary war, all that, what was it? All of those companies, Dick Cheney's friends and stuff, they got blank checks from the federal government blank checks. And how do we pay for an unnecessary war? We borrow the money from China and Japan. China is like our biggest creditor, right? And Japan is the next big creditor. Japan holds a lot of debt of the United States, but China holds the most American debt. Okay. Now, I liked Papa Bush. I thought Papa Bush was a gentleman. Not my king. Um, I decided to Google that thing I talked about. Several outlets reported that Christian Jones was seen in a car with Prince William on March the 11th, 2024, as they were leaving Windsor Castle. However, the initial reports by the Daily Mail stated that Prince William was driving with the Princess of Wales. This was later contradicted by photographers Jim Bennett, who claimed he expected to photograph Prince William alone, only to discover it was the Princess of Wales upon closer inspection. Interesting. And remember, Christian Jones, that's the name of the person that Harry accused of leaking, right? And the men in gray suits told Harry that if you don't drop the case, there's going to be trouble. And Harry said, I ain't dropping nothing. And what happened? They lost their security and the money, which, as far as I'm concerned, was a huge favor to the Sussexes. Better to be away from all that nonsense, right? Yeah. Better to be away from it. Better to not do a half in, half out. Because if Harry and Meghan would have stayed with that institution, they would be able to see their diary and see whatever events they had coming up and all that kind of stuff. If they were still taking money from the palace would be able to call the shots when it comes to their schedule. And that would have been a way to suppress the Sussexes, a way to control them. So better to leave clean and free than to have to dance to their music, because they got better control over things by staying away from that institution. Yeah, AI gets a lot of stuff wrong. AI is what do you call it? It's not there yet. AI is not there yet, which is why I always say, if you guys are searching for some information, verify it with at least 3 other sources besides the AI, because AI is not exactly there yet. AI is trying to do the same thing that a person does, and they draw that information from different sources. So, and then they come up with some kind of cohesive answer, which may not be accurate. SK said one of them is a mental asylum. Which one is a family home and which is the mental asylum? I don't know. They look the same to me. I can't say which is which. I can't say which is which. Okay, you guys, I got one last slide and then we're going to wrap this up. What the hell is happening at the White House? What is going on? It seems like the ghost of Liberace has been decorating the White House. It really does. It seems as though the ghost of Liberace has been going around sprinkling all kind of fairy dust. And next thing you know, there was nothing but gold and marble and rhinestones. I'm surprised that mock-up of the Air Force One isn't covered with rhinestones, Swarovski crystals or something. What has happened to the United States White House, the executive mansion? What is going on? It's like the president is Liberace, and the other one is what was his name? Liberace's companion. Oh, okay. Hazel Jones says, when you search, you can remove AI answers by typing AI after your search. Oh, and that removes it. I didn't know that. Thank you, Hazel. Or as they say in Germany, what is it? Dankeschön, Hazel. Dankeschön, Hazel. Thank you. Danke, Hazel. Yeah, those appliques, they're like bridal appliques. You can just take some double-sided tape and stick them on the wall after you cover them with some gold spray paint. After you spray paint them with some gold spray paint, then you just kind of, take some double-sided tape, some 3M tape, and just slap it on there. Ooh, talk about tacky. Tacky is what tacky does. Anyway, good night, you guys. I am done. Thank you so much. This has been a very interesting conversation, I promise you. And I really do appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for being very respectable and thoughtful and, you know what I'm saying, and patient. Thank you all very much. Because sometimes when you talk about certain subjects, people start accusing you of saying stuff you didn't say and all that kind of stuff. And I hate when that happens. Sometimes I just want to have an adult conversation. Play the devil's advocate, just ask some hypothetical questions and see what people think. I'm not trying to make enemies. Good night, Starries. Good night, Sandra. Good night. Hello, Ivy here. Bye for now. Bye from Ivy. Bye. Good night, Marshall, Legs, Hazel Jones, Cookies and Cream. Okay. Suzette, good night. Well, good morning. Good morning, good night. Okay, cheers. All the best. See y'all next time.